Introducing Meta Ray-Ban Display, the world's most advanced AI glasses. With a full color display built into the lens of the glasses, it's there when you need it and gone when you don't. Send and receive messages, translate or caption live conversations, collaborate with Meta AI, and more. Be one of the first to try Meta Ray-Ban Display. Visit meta.com/Meta Ray-Ban Display to book a demo and find your pair.
Welcome to our podcast, It's About Payroll. We're your hosts, Brian Escobar and Walter William Duncan III. Whether you're new to the payroll game or a seasoned veteran, we have something for you. All right, welcome back, folks. We're, I think, up to episode 9, season 4, right?
Yep.
Oh, man, what a great journey it's been. We love you guys, man. We appreciate you. How you doing, Walt? What's going on tonight?
Happy Tuesday, man. I'm just in amazement how fast time is flying.
Oh,
We just got in 2023.
Oh.
It's already March, man.
yeah, for real. This is crazy, man.
Time waits for no one.
So you got some great quote. Won't you read yours for us?
All right. My quote is by Deepak Chopra. It's all great changes are preceded by chaos.
Yes, and all great changes, preceded by chaos. Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Me and Walt have been on this crazy journey, and it's definitely chaotic. And it's a great change for us, though. And then it got me thinking. I've been on this Friedrich Nietzsche path and like reading about him a bit. You know, you always hear him. Yeah, you hear it like in pop, or I've heard it in, I don't know, movies and this, and like people, you should know about this guy. I've never read it. I've only heard his name. But come to find out, right, he's like the author of a lot of quotes that folks that we know. One of them that I've learned recently is he quotes chaos, and he says, one must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. So that was very interesting, and it just made me think about what Walt was sharing. Deepak Chopra, all great changes are preceded by chaos. So great things can come from chaos. I don't know. I've always been that person that talks about chaos, like, oh, you got to see the opportunity in chaos and stuff like that. But what does it mean to you?
I guess for me, you know how they say life can begin anew after there's a blaze. So when you think about all these fires and stuff like that, that life after a certain amount of time, fires can be so chaotic and disruptive. But even after some period of time, there can be life there again, you know?
Right.
So for me, it's kind of falling down that lane, you know, like the world is chaotic. There's so many things going on in our lives and stuff like that. But we have to continue to push forward, and we have to continue to evolve. That's what I think. Yeah.
No doubt. Appropriately enough, chaos at the workplace and in payroll could lead to payroll failure. And that is the subject of this episode today. We're talking about what should your business do if your payroll process is failing or has failed. And what we realize is that it's really 2 buckets that it falls into, right? One failure could be that someone or a group of folks don't get paid for some reason, or like if your normal payday's on Friday and for some reason it happens on Monday, you know, that's a pay failure. You know what I mean? And it can happen to one person. One of your employees not getting paid after they worked is a pay failure, right? So the degree of failure that you're encountering, I'm thinking of it more of a bigger group, because you know what I mean? Because you can solve for one person or even a handful of people, especially with today's products. They have sidebar. They have a lot of products that you can actually solve these things in same day. You know what we'll talk about these solutions after the problems, right? Because that's helpful. So the first failure is just like a big group of people not getting paid or not on time, which is a failure. A day late is $1 short. Like, you know,
more than $1 short.
Yeah, you know what I mean? What do you do in these situations? And then the second failure that we'll talk about is a system failure, like something that's way beyond your control. And this also falls under business continuity. And we've talked about that in the past. It's worth repeating. And same deal. It's beyond your control. It's like if you're traditionally reporting to the office and you can't get to the office because of a storm or a disaster or a tragedy or something like that,
Yeah.
or if you are remote and your power goes down or your service center power goes down. So anyway, so that's the second failure we'll talk about is like critical system failure that is beyond your control. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So the first one though, again, like it's a bigger group of people. And have you encountered any?
Hey, everybody, I'm Lori Rudiman. What are you doing? Working? Nah, you're listening to a podcast about work, and that barely counts. So while you're at it, check out my show, Punk Rock HR, now on the Work Defined Network. We chat with smart people about work, power, politics, and money. Are we succeeding? Are we fixing work? Probably not. Work still sucks, but tune in for some fun, a little nonsense, and a fresh take on how to fix work once and for all.
Challenges like this? Well, like failures, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. So
Mm.
we've had situations where they said, you know, not everybody don't cash your check all at once
Mm.
to that extent, right? So like, hey,
Really?
yeah, like like don't everybody cash your check at once. Who's going to be able to volunteer? To maybe do it
You're
next
kidding.
week. No, I'm not. And
You're kidding.
I'm not joking.
Wow.
It was
That's
it was during the recession and stuff like that. So
ooh.
yeah, so like they tried their best and they were hurting financially, so they were trying to make sure that everybody got paid, but they were like, "Hey, some of you are gonna it's gonna have to be piecemeal because we're trying to make sure everybody gets paid." But
That is really tough.
what about you?
I guess the day late deal.
So you never came into a situation where they said your predecessor or whoever came before you just totally messed things up and you had to come in and fix it all up and stuff like that. So you never had a situation like that either.
Well, that's not a pay failure though.
Well, I'm saying that if something people didn't get paid, I guess you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. My
Yeah.
predator, that's a long time.
Yeah.
And that's actually to back it up a bit, the whole not having enough money is another failure.
Mhm.
That's cash flow problems.
Uh,
You know what I mean? So that's tough. But it's also realistic for businesses.
mhm.
So gosh, it's three failures. If you're really looking at it from the business perspective, if you ain't got the money, you are bound to fail at the payroll, right? And
Yeah.
something's okay. So, but thank God, no, I haven't
Yeah.
experienced any major that I can remember. Maybe I've been a long time, bro, but nothing that I can remember
Mhm.
on a grand scale, other than the day late deal. And the way it happens is the one that I remember years ago was like we were doing semi-monthly and it's like 30-31 deal. And, if your folks are used to getting paid on the 30th, but they
Uh-huh.
don't realize, well, it's not even a fail too, though. There's two scenarios, but the fail would be if you always do it on the 30th, because
Mhm.
there's two different rules. You do the 15th and the 30th, or you do the 15th and the last day of the month,
Yes,
which is different, right?
it is. Yeah.
Or you do the 1st and the 15th, whatever, when you do semi-monthly. So those are normal options. Sometimes folks do the 5th and the 25th. Like, what are you doing? Why are you making it more harder, folks? Really, this stuff is so easy to do. Don't overcomplicate it. Anywho, so it happened. They're supposed to get paid on the 30th, but unfortunately, it got pushed to the 31st. It was set up for the
Mhm.
31st. So that's a failure. I mean, it's just the day late, but it's a failure in the employee's eyes.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But that's the only one that I can think of.
Mm.
Thank goodness. I mean, it's kind of, a lesser of the evils. So how do we solve them, right? If you have these failures of pay, and first you got to identify it. You got to figure out what it is that caused the problem. And the
Root cause.
buzzwords is root cause, exactly. And you got to ask a lot of whys in this. Why did this happen? Why did that happen? Why did you just got to keep asking and keep asking those whys until you really get to that root cause.
Looking at our notes here,
Hmm.
you have to like run a lot of audit reports and analyze data and do some comparisons and find out
Yes.
like, hey, what caused it? Was it a people, process, or system problem or whatever? You have
Yes.
to, like you were saying, identify the root cause, all those things. And I like what you put here in big bold letters. Ask a lot of whys.
Yeah.
Uh, could you tell me why you put that?
Because it at first glance, a problem could seem like one of those three. So you said three good things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a people problem? Is it a process problem? Or is it a system problem? Right? Our leaders must be thrilled if they hear this show. They're gonna be thrilled we're talking about all this stuff. But here's the thing: at a glance, you might, oh, it's a people problem.
Yeah.
But if you ask a few more whys,
Yeah.
you might get to, it's a system limitation
Or it's a process.
or it's a process problem.
Mhm.
And,
Or it's a culmination of.
or it could be a combination. Yes,
Mhm.
it's any, but though it's gonna land in one of those three buckets:
Yeah.
people, process, or the system. If you're making widgets, it's people, process, product,
Yeah.
right?
Got
But we don't make widgets; we do a service. So
Yeah.
when it's a service, it's like, what system are you using to deliver this service? You really, you gotta be I don't know if selfless is the right word, but
Mhm.
don't let ego get involved,
Yes.
right? Don't
Yes.
let, feelings don't get in your feelings. Like,
Don't take it personal.
this is not about getting in your feelings.
Yeah.
Be careful of the story that you tell yourself. It's one of the themes that I've been sharing this week. Be careful of the story we tell ourselves,
Mhm.
because it's not me. It's not me, but it might be. And you
Mhm.
have to be open to that, and it's scary. I think I scare people sometimes, like how open I am to be like, oh, I made a mistake. Oh, okay. Hey, my fault. Let's move on and fix it. We
Yeah.
can learn from that, you know,
Absolutely.
um,
That's how you
you
grow.
know, yeah, it's how you grow. I had a horrible boss back in the day
Mm.
that, like, screamed on me because I made a mistake on a calculation. And I remember the mistake. It was, I mistaken I did a calculation based on a pay period when I should have
Mhm.
did it on the work week,
Okay. Mhm.
which is different, right?
Yep.
The
Mhm.
work week is that 40, whatever your 7-day stretch is. But your pay period could
It's
be
different.
different
Yep.
if you pay biweekly, so that which makes it easy, and
Mhm.
best practices for business owners: pay biweekly with a 7-day lag, work week versus pay period. Anyway, so I did it on a pay period instead of the work week, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
And she got really upset, really mad at me. And I was like, hey, it's a understandable mistake,
Yeah.
an easy, harmless, like, innocent mistake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't maliciously make the mistake. Like, hello, this is what being a team is about. And as a boss, she should have been like, boom, now we caught that. Now I can go. And if you want to look, she could have been like, oh, you know what, Brian, you're going to have to take the L on that. I'm going to have to let me go clean this up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'd have been like, yeah. And I was like, I would tell the person myself, like, why are you bugging out? Like, I made a mistake. Wait, and
Yeah.
that's not a safe place where if you can't make mistakes, that's a safe place. Failure is part of this process.
Oh, yeah. Payroll, even though we would like payroll to be 100% perfect, and sometimes payroll is spot on some days, and
Should
some
be,
days,
yeah.
some days we have those payrolls we don't have to cut any checks or
Hmm.
anything like that.
Hmm.
But some days we're gonna make a mistake. Someone's gonna make a mistake along the process of people getting paid,
Yeah.
and it's
There's
gonna
an
happen. It's not gonna be perfection all the time when it comes
there's
to
a
payroll.
there's an acceptable percentage of error,
Yeah, no,
right?
absolutely. So speaking to the people problem that
Yeah.
we have listed here, right? How do you determine when it is actually a problem with the people in payroll, right? Just we're talking about from the business standpoint, like, because as we were just saying, there are going to be mistakes made. You're going to, in the middle of this process, you might key something wrong. It might be missed during an audit or whatever. It's going to happen. Does it become a problem when the problems begin to pile up and the person keeps making the same mistakes over and over again? Is that when it's a people problem?
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana lets you buy your next car on your terms. Explore a massive inventory online, filter for what matters, and find your perfect match. Then choose delivery to your home or pick it up at one of Carvana's iconic car vending machines. Every car also comes with a 7-day money-back guarantee, so you can make sure it's the right fit. Buy your car on Carvana. Delivery or pickup fees may apply. Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
Carvana.
I think, yeah, for sure, that's one of them. But you can, if you ask the whys properly, and if you plug in, if you solve the process and the system problem, and you see, wait a minute, what's still happening, or, well, this is still going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, if you take yourself through the steps on system, process, and people, you can isolate the people problem. And you just like you have here, is it a training issue or is it a bandwidth issue? Right? Of course, do you have the right team in place? That's definitely a big factor, right?
Yeah.
They're not payroll pros, and expecting them to be, that is a huge problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's trial and error, right? But I think you have to solve for the system, you have to solve for the process, and then you go through the steps and kind of work your payroll out. And as long as you have the solid system and process, you're going to be able to see where the people problem is and what is it, right? Is it the training? Is it the bandwidth? Or is it the person? Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
And again, asking a lot of whys.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So I think that covers the employee not getting paid failure part, right? Because you should be able to figure out fairly quickly why they didn't get paid, and then you make your corrections from there.
Okay. So the next one you mentioned was the system failure.
All right. Critical system failure.
Yeah.
And it could be even like your bank didn't move the money. What you just said before we started recording about like checks not cashing, checks not being able to cash. That's a real problem. And the money could be there. It doesn't always mean that the money's not there. I've had that problem. So I've had, you know what? Gosh, I guess I had, see, because I did forget.
Yeah.
So we did have a situation where a whole location couldn't cash their checks. And it was a banking issue. I don't know if it was like the printing. And it had nothing to do with money. It was just the checks were bad.
Yep.
Like it was just not showing well. They were coming up looking fraudulent. They didn't clear them. It was just a mess. And in that situation, basically it's either like wires or trying to get new checks out to people to solve for it. But so that was back in the failure number 1. Sorry. So 2, what I mean by system failure, but just that your payroll processor shuts down for some reason, whether it be weather, disaster, whatever it might be, it's beyond your control. I think about, unfortunately, like 9/11, Manhattan was shut down. You couldn't get into Manhattan. And this is a time where remote work was not popular. So how did that process, right? And thankfully in that situation, there was a lot of hands on deck and people made all kind of exceptions to get paid. Incredible things happen. But that was a serious problem. You couldn't get into Manhattan. I can't get into the office to work. That's a critical system failure.
Yeah, but are we speaking more so to the payroll system? Or are we talking about like, it sounds like we're talking about like natural disasters or whatever, like that.
Yeah,
control.
but that prevents you from processing payroll.
Yeah. But I think, does it really speak to the business
Absolutely.
payroll process failing?
No, it's not. It's not your payroll process failing, but that's what we're saying. It's 2 different types of failures.
Okay.
Right. One is your process is failing. You did something and y'all messed up something that, is it a system thing? Is it a process thing? Or is it a people thing? That somebody didn't get paid or a group of people didn't get paid. And then the other failure, that's what I was saying, it touches like on business continuity because it's That other failure is just critical system failure. Something fails beyond your control that prevents you from processing payroll that may not have anything to do with payroll.
The checks get sent to the wrong place. I remember that reminds me of back in the day when I worked for a PEO and they used to print checks and they had a mail room and they used to have to print checks, package checks and send them out. There were plenty of cases where the wrong checks get stuffed into the wrong envelope and sent there. Would that be a process failure or would that be a critical system failure?
No, I think I'd put that back up with a process or system failure. But on failure number one, somebody didn't get paid, payroll ran, right?
Yeah.
Failure number two, critical system failure means you cannot even run payroll.
Okay. That means just shut down
You can't do nothing.
Okay. Gotcha.
You may have time. You may have your time and attendance. You may have all your salary stuff, but you cannot go and actually process anything and push any buttons, get into anything, process anything. That's what this means. That's what that other failure.
Could you even have a backup plan for that?
It's
For it?
yeah.
What could you do? Like, hey,
yeah,
everything shut down. We can't do diddly squat.
yeah. It would all depend on what you can and cannot do. Like if you can get to the bank and get cash. If you can't, then I think folks got to chill. Like if it's that crazy that you can't even get to a bank, then people got to work. Concessions will be made.
Yeah. Like, so this is why we always push direct deposit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just in case something happens.
But you can't run direct deposit. So what does that mean?
Well, this is
what I'm saying is you can't run any direct deposits.
Hey, everybody. Got a quick question for you. Is your job easy, stress-free, and full of rainbows and sunshine every single day? Yeah, I'd say that's a big fat no. Hi, I'm David Noe, host of Speakeasy HR, presented by Payroll Partners, and proud to be part of the Work-Defined community. Take a step down into my Speakeasy live on LinkedIn and YouTube, where we tackle HR and business challenges through raw, uncut, unfiltered conversations. This is HR like you've never heard it before. Bold, real, and full of practical takeaways. Real guests, bold insights, authentic conversations that drive change. Catch every episode on demand through your favorite podcast platform or all the content at speakeasyhr.com.
That's what I'm saying. It's critical system failure. You cannot process anything.
So I guess there really wouldn't be a backup plan.
Now, it depends. It depends. Like, can you still get cash? Then the backup plan is getting your people some cash while systems get back up.
And that'd be tough if your people are spread out remotely, right? So
yes, absolutely.
Presents other challenges.
If the banking system is working, then maybe you can send wires out. You can do something like that. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is you can do. Here's the backup plan that you can have is trying to have some way to know what to pay people.
Yeah.
Right. And like I said, I'll give a shout out to Anita Latink, our colleague in payroll who wrote the book, How to Select Next Payroll, The Ultimate Guide. Mm-hmm. I was reading in there. She covers continuity. And basically that's what she focuses on is like, hey, you got to have a plan on how to pay these people. Meaning if it's easy, if you have salary people, you can just repeat the last payment, right? Look at your records, give everybody the last net amount that they got last time. Yeah. I mean, you could even do that with hourly folks too, but it may fluctuate. I mean, that may be fine too, but for hourly, I believe she goes into a more of an average out type of calculation so that you don't overpay or underpay, get somewhere on an average so that, again, you don't over or under too much. So if you have that in place, because that's all you could do from a payroll point of view, for disaster recovery, for business continuity, right? If you can have some type of go-to plan in place for that, then you would evaluate what systems do have at your disposal. So again, failure to this other failure is a critical system failure, but that critical system could be just ADP or edit that out. Or your critical system failure could be just your payroll system. And you may still have bank access. So if you know what you're gonna, what you do need to send your people, yeah, it may be a little bit of a to do, but I'm sure people will be more than willing to get you their bank account information to get paid. If they don't, if you can't already get it from the system, if they have direct deposit, you could probably use some of that info. But here's a great call out. Wires often have separate routing and maybe account numbers
Yep.
than a direct deposit.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So the bank, you have to kind of reach out to your bank. And again, all information that banks and people will quickly probably be able to provide, being that is, hey, you're gonna give me my pay? Hold on, I'll get you the info. Right.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you
Great
could,
points.
if you still have banking, you could still, and you had this plan in place where you knew what to pay people, you could, in theory, go out and send wires out to all their accounts via the bank and charge whoever failed, unfortunately. Like, hey,
Yeah.
because you guys failed, I endured a, X amount of $1,000 in bank fees for all these wires. You guys are going to be on the hook for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Something else I think that, and you tell me if it warrants us discussing when it comes to critical system failures, security,
What do you mean
right?
security? Like,
From a
like
security,
like hackers?
cybersecurity.
Cybersecurity?
We know that that's something that's growing rapidly.
Yeah.
More and more people are getting hacked to, servers are getting hacked into constantly more and more.
Yep.
So there's a potential, God forbid, that if a grid or something like that gets hacked or shut down, because we did see that happen here recently, that someone's electrical grid was hacked
Yep.
or whatever, and it shut down a bunch of stuff for a bunch of people, right?
Yeah.
So that's something to consider too. I don't know what you can do from a business standpoint to prevent for that, but like there's something that you have to think about. I know it's leaning more so towards the business continuity side of things, but it's something to really substantially think about because
Yeah.
cyber warfare, cybersecurity is something that's important, something that a lot of people think about too much on.
No, they don't. And it's one of those things that you don't think of unless you get, right?
Yeah.
You don't think about it. But you're right. If you got hacked, what if they just locked you out of your laptops, locked
Yep.
you out of your system, locked you out of your payroll provider, or whatever? Like it's real. And that's something that you gotta, at some point in your organization, shoot, I guess regardless of how big you are, you gotta have some cybersecurity and at least get some consult and hey, are my systems good? Am I safe? Especially if you're moving PPI around. But it's personal information. It's like our social, our address, and none of that. That's what you safeguard against when you have two-factor and you got to log in and it text your phone and that's all to protect you. So whenever you got to do that stuff, be grateful for it. And that's something that we do with our payroll systems. They do have PPI in it and it needs to be two-factor.
Yeah, protected personal information.
Protected personal information. There you go. Thank you, sir. So yeah, I think that does fall into critical system failure because again, it prevents you from actually processing payroll. Whatever it is falls into that place. And it's not one person who's like, oh, what if my laptop broke? No, you should be able to go to the next person at your job. There should be somebody else at your job that can get payroll processed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or your provider should have a fail safe to be like, hey, I can run your last payroll.
Yeah.
Without you guys intervening, we can run your last payroll. Some providers have that option. So look at that. Think about that too. And maybe ask that if you're evaluating payroll providers. Or even ask your current. Who cares? So yeah. So folks, that's pretty much it, right? It's either failure to pay somebody or a group of people, or you have some critical system failure that literally prevents you from processing payroll.
Yep.
And in both scenarios, you got to ask yourself why. You got to try to build a backup plan. And you got to regularly review this plan.
Yeah.
And regularly could be annual. Just have a nice placeholder in your calendar. Look over your continuity plans. If you have a committee, you can get fancy and build a committee, and which we did in one of my prior jobs. We built a business continuity committee. Facilities was on it. HR was on it, operations was on it, the security team was on it. It literally had, I think, every one person from every department on it. This continuity impacts every department. So that was a cool committee to be on. What else? That's it, right?
I think that's about it. I think we covered everything.
So, folks, I hope you enjoyed the show. That's it, man. We got a ton of ideas, and we'll keep it coming.
Yep.
You guys keep coming back. We'll keep delivering.
Thanks, everybody.
Peace. Thank you for listening to today's episode of our podcast. We appreciate you. We're grateful for you. And we hope that the information that was shared with you will impact you as a payroll professional. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and most importantly, keep going.